if it makes you feel better, there's going to be a lot of gaps coming up, like public speaking, really sort of let's get it all, so you don't have to bear with this one. But yeah, as previously used, my name's Joe Marriott. I'm currently the pro-president of the Palestine Society, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a trip I took last summer. I travelled to the West Bank for a month, and I've been thinking of like, when I was setting up this presentation, exactly how I do it, like, what angle I come at it from. I've been thinking, like, especially we've had a lot of like excellent political rhetoric, but certainly like political aspects are the same. I thought it would be really appropriate to bring like a personal reflection of this, both personal stories of mine, stories of others, stories of Palestinian people that I met, like amazing people. And I just thought like that would be the way I'd structure it. So I won't be able to talk about my entire time there because just too much happened. Like I've got thousands of photos, I've got hundreds of like amazing memories. So I thought I'd focus on some of the things that we all hear about, but like aren't really like personalised. It's just like, oh, these are some facts, these are some figures. But I'm going to try and like show you some examples and some experiences that I went through, and just kind of make it a bit more personalised. So I want to start off with myself, basically, and what made me want to go. Like when people ask me why did I choose Palestine? Why was Palestine become such an issue for me? Like the honest answer is, I don't fully know the answer to this question. Like people ask me, and I just say to them, I looked and I researched and I saw injustice. There's injustice all over the world. There's no denying that. There's horrible things that go on. But the more I read about Palestine itself, the more it struck me that there's an injustice here that was just absurd. Like people being oppressed because of other people's abilities to negotiate with other people, politics, and just basic like general political things we hear about that affect people's lives to a horrible degree. And the more I researched about it, the more I read, the more I thought, I need to go see this for myself to fully understand it. So last summer I did exactly just that. It was an amazing experience. I did so many things, and I met so many wonderful people. Like the sites I saw, like Jerusalem we have up here, Bethlehem we have over here. And just even more than that, the friends I made, like not only just Palestinians, but people from all around the world, like numerous people like me that went over to say, what else can we find out, what else can we learn? And that was just, through meeting these people, some of the most wonderful people I've ever met, I learned a lot, and they taught me things as well. And yeah, it was brilliant. So I'd like to start off with who I went and why I went. The organisation I went with is called the Holy Land Trust, and it's led by this man, known as Sami Awad. Sami Awad is, I don't really know how to fully describe him. He's a very interesting man in that while a lot of stuff appears to have happened to him and he's faced so much, it reminds me how he could could remain calm about it. Like there's no anger within, only just like understanding and a desire to make things change. So after the 1996 Oslo Accords, when he came back to Palestine after studying in Washington University, he's a Palestinian himself, a Palestinian Christian. He came back and decided that this was a time of prosperity and a time for peace. But when he came back, he still saw the tensions, like all these politics on top. Like we may have seen Arafat and the Israeli Prime Minister shaking hands in the White House lawn, but we didn't. When it comes back to Palestine itself, things remain the same. Like the questions still existed. People still upset each other. There was still fighting. There was still anger. There was still hate. And he didn't like see this as like the right thing to do. So in 2000, he established the Holy Land Trust, whose website you can check out here, and I'll post it on the internet. And as part of the Holy Land Trust, this organisation, he's set up a program called the Palestine Summer Encounter Program, which basically invites people from all over the world, regardless of faith, language, ethnicity, to come and experience Palestine for themselves by living with a local family based in Bethlehem or its surrounding areas, learn Arabic, and generally take up a summer placement as well and do some work experience. So I saw this and thought this is a perfect opportunity, and this is something I just had to do. So prior to the trip, like I started telling people that I'd applied for this and I got a place, and I had these anticipations, and I just thought, wow, I'm going to Palestine. At first it was just crazy, like it didn't seem like a real thing, and for like the amount of months the months before I went, because it was a while before I got confirmed. There was numerous months before I actually left, and then when I told people, they were just like, the first reaction was always just, wow. Are you sure? You're going to get blown up, you're going to get killed. And I won't lie, this is exactly what I thought a little bit. I was scared, I was nervous. I was like, I just didn't know what to think. Like, I heard all these things, like, again, all these stories about injustice and anger, and it just, yeah, it was worrying, but at the same time exciting. And so, I had these false anticipations, and when I went, it was completely, none of this was true, as I'll explain later. Preparations, like, this in itself was just an entire mission. Like, this took me a fair few couple of weeks of just, like, as we can see on this quote here, this is from the US State Department, same as part of Britain, by the way. Israeli security at Ben Gurion Airport, like unreal. Like, they will ruthlessly go through anyone. It's been known to, like, they will just vet people. They will treat you on your ethnicity, on what you look like, and specifically, as it says there, anyone who has been suspiciously involved in missionary or act festivity. So me rolling up, just like white guy, like on my own, looking very suspicious, wasn't a good thing. Like, actually, no, sorry, I said I'm not on my own. It's completely the opposite. As a matter of fact, getting in, like story. The girl on the very right there is a friend of mine called Abir Kazubash, who is currently studying at LSE. I believe she's the president of the LSE, Palestine Solidarity Society. And we emailed each other beforehand. She was also on the same program, saying, "Oh, do you want to go in and fly together?" Because obviously, both being on your own, probably not good, especially for Abir, who's Pakistani heritage and Arabic name, wasn't going to end well. And she was right. Like, we got to Ben Gurion, and we were like talking the whole way, like in like Heathrow, what are we gonna do? We get there, like I go up, like I get treated fine. Like, I was actually worried that like, oh, they're gonna catch me up on my own, I'm young, it's gonna be suspicious. Woman doesn't even take a second glance at me. I was just like, well, that's easy. A beer comes in after me. Like, next thing you know, I'm getting called back. She's calling me back saying, Joe. They're just immediately taking one look at her Pakistani heritage in her passport, and it all just kicked off. Like, we all got dragged into this back room, forcibly told to go into this back room. Won't overemphasize it. And this is when it was like, it was shocking, because this was literally my first, like, I literally just landed in the country. I wasn't even at the airport, wasn't at passport control. And then I went into this room where they'd been screening people, and unsurprisingly, all of these people were Arab heritage, and a lot of them Palestinian. And this said it to me in itself, like, there's clearly something wrong within Israeli society when there's this amount of fear that they'll just judge people based on their ethnicity to that massive degree. Some of these people have been waiting there hours, and I just couldn't believe it. Like, I didn't know what to fully expect when I arrived in this country, and that was literally my first impression. And it was worrying, it was really worrying. We spent about an hour in there, and eventually they let us go, but not before, after leaving, they would question my heritage as well. What's your grandfather's name, what's your name? The moment I said Dennis, they were just like, no, clearly not. It said it all, it was ridiculous. So we got out of the Ben Gurion Airport and into Tel Aviv about 11 at night. We had a really long flight, I was knackered. So we got into our hotel for the night and shacked up there until morning, and then got the bus to Jerusalem. And from Jerusalem, we went to Bethlehem. And this is where it all really began. Like, this was my month in the West Bank, and yeah, what a month it was. Like, I'd like to start off by talking about the family that I stayed with. Like, one of my main annoyances is that I didn't actually get like any real pictures of like the Al-Ghawali family, except for the little guy in the Spider-Man t-shirt, that's Ben, who we literally just had so much fun with. Like, he was just like, I've never seen a more enthusiastic kid in my life about anything. And it was awkward at first because obviously his second language is English, and he's only 10, and so he speaks good English, but it was still a language barrier. And at first I was like, well, this could be an issue. But it wasn't like, the amount of times we'd just hang out outside the Porsche, just playing football, him and his mates, was just unreal. And like, honestly, my happiest memories of my time in Palestine was with the Al-Ghawali family. As well as Ben, we had Seema, who was, she was like a second mother to me, as lame as that sounds, like, she literally was. She was like, always concerning about me, always like asking how my day was like. We always like talked and spoke a lot about the occasion. And Seema herself is just a wonderful woman. Like, we still stay in contact over Skype and stuff, so I do with the rest of the family. Because Seema taught me that, like, as a Palestinian Christian, which aren't that common anymore, a lot of them have moved out of the West Bank and Gaza and have gone elsewhere in the world. She was the one who stayed, and she stayed there. She said to me, as part of her decision, she felt like she had an obligation to say, this is my home, you want to let me leave? And numerous things like that she came out with every day to me, and it was just inspiring how someone like literally in the same house as me, who would say things to me, and then also like, again, my second mother gave me a clip around the ear, like, if I didn't do the washing up. Like, I literally was like a member of the family, which is really quite nice. Bethlehem. Like, Bethlehem in itself was another thing I had preconceptions about. Like, obviously, when everyone thinks Bethlehem, we all think like the nativity story, away in the manger, etc., etc. Like, and I arrived, and when I also thought like, oh, it would be like a horrible, like run-down place. It's just grim. And obviously these pictures, which are of the apartheid wall, which spreads around Bethlehem on all sides. You think, oh yeah, that definitely is the case. But also, you can also see just incredible beauty. It was just a wonderful place. And every day I would just walk through the streets and just my daily routine, just walking, like whether walking to my placement or walking anywhere else and just hanging out with people in general, meeting people. I just walk through and see these rolling hills and these things like we saw earlier. Like that spectacular view. Like all these rolling hills in this beautiful heat, and it was just wonderful. Like maybe I romanticised the place a little bit. Maybe it's just all so unreal to me. But I've never been somewhere just so, especially calm, which is definitely not what I was expecting, like at all. But no, it was fantastic. Like it was just a place that felt like home, and it still does. So this is where I'm going to move on to like some of the issues we've been speaking about all week, and give them a kind of like personal perspective. First thing is the settlements. Like Bethlehem on all sides is surrounded by settlements. Like this is one of you can see on the hill from here. Huge, sprawling, goes in quite across the entire hillside, massively populated. One thing I really should point out actually, you can't really see them that well in this photo, but it said a lot to me. Like this little metal thing here, you can probably see a few of them, maybe there's only other things, I'm not sure. These are water tanks, and this was the issue of Palestinian water rights. Palestinians across the West Bank, these settlements come secondary in water. Like all the water like piping will go straight to these settlements, and Palestinians will be forced to keep their water supply up on their tanks. This means that they can go some periods without having water for days, which in an area like the Middle East is just really not ideal. When I was there was a heat wave as well, which just made it even worse. And yeah, these settlements, you can see them everywhere. Like people, like you hear all these facts and figures, but once you see like the size of them, where they stretch, it's just absurd. And it just makes me think these are illegal on international law. They shouldn't be here by anyone's standards. And it was just, yeah, it was just unreal. Like, to make this is one that was in Hebron within the south of the West Bank. And this is like, people that live in the Hebron especially, like in the Hebron settlement, they aren't even Israeli in the proper sense of like, they've moved, like decided to move, oh, let's go from Tel Aviv, let's go from Haifa, let's move into the countryside of the Palestine, into the West Bank. A lot of these people are from like Brooklyn, New York, and places like this. And this settlement, which is based right in like the ancient city of Hebron, you can see like faintly some like cord wire around here, like where the settlements begin, like this tall building behind this wall is a settlement. Like, it was just absurd, and this struck me a lot when walking through Hebron. This was above me when walking through like a marketplace, and you can see all like this rubbish and trash and stuff. Like, settlers will throw like rubbish and trash upon people on these heads, and like had to put this netting up just so it wouldn't hit people on the head when they're trying to put the days. Like, it just said a lot to me. It was amazing. It's ridiculous. This is the gate to the actual settlement. Like, huge iron barring, huge big metal gates. When I looked through that bar itself, like I didn't get any pictures itself, I didn't want to like asking questions and like probably wouldn't look at me. Through that gap, when I took that photo, it's just a horde of soldiers surrounding a couple of settlers for security reasons. And it said a lot to me that like there's this huge military presence, this huge threatening, menacing military presence and a settlement right in the middle of Palestinians' homes, in like in other towns and places. It was just unreal to like see the place with my own eyes was just absurd. Even more than that was the refugee camps. Like we've been talking a lot about the right of return of Palestinian refugees throughout the world, but the refugee camps, like I've never seen anybody like them before. Like Palestine and the West Bank in itself, like you can see every day like how the Israeli occupation like affects it. But in the refugee camps, it's just on another level. Like these places are so disparate, and like the poverty is just unreal. Like walking through Al Arub, which is near Hebron, which is where these photos were taken. Like it was like something you'd see in the news, but you just didn't really take in. Like demolished buildings, like rubbish that hadn't been picked up today. It was just like a broken society, and you could just feel the desperation. I remember talking to some Palestinian children in Al Arub. Like their Arabic was like their English, sorry, was very, very limited. So it was more like through basic words and so on. But it was here that like I really saw the hate like that this conflict builds and like the hopes for peace being dashed by this kind of treatment of people. These children who hadn't seen anything, any life outside of occupation before, were going up to me and saying, pointing at this poster of this man who had been martyred, and saying, oh, he killed you, he killed Yehud, he killed Yehud. And it really struck me, this 7-year-old was just like yelling this kind of thing at me in like an excited manner, like, yeah, we got to kill him. Like, it was terrible, but I could understand why they were saying it. And this was one of the significant moments for me. It was just like, this is how people feel, because like people are driven to this kind of like desperation, this hate, and it's just, yeah, crazy. This one is of Nablus, and I want to show you these ones because A, this is the most populated camp within the West Bank, and also because like you can see like the conditions of the camp. This is the whole camp looks like this tight, crammed together buildings. They're so concentrated. Like these buildings crammed together. Like imagining trying to live in a place like this is just unreal. And we'll bring it on to my firelight experience. Like some of you may have come to watch 5 Broken Cameras with us on Monday, which talked about the village of Berlin. While I was up there myself, I went to Berlin, and it was literally unreal. Like they brought a whole new dimension to that film for me because it was just madness. Like, so I'll just speed through the pictures. Like, we were at the house, we arrived, and basically peaceful protest all started going really well. Like, honestly, no violence being attained at all by us as a group. Then before we knew it, tear gas flying everywhere. It was just intensified. There's a tear gas can alert, and it just got really worse. And right, getting tear gas was really like probably one really just not fun at all. Like I can't really put into words how that was like. Imagine like trying to like imagine downing a pint of hot sauce like Tabasco sauce. Like that is what it feels like. It's like it absolutely chokes you up. It feels like you're drowning, and it feels like your face is just burning off. Oh, it's awful. Like, and people do this every Friday, so mad respect to them because I'm never doing that again. So yeah, these are the tear gas, and they fire them at a massive rate as well. Like these things, they fire them from grenade launchers up in the hill. Like if that hits you on the head, you're a goner. Like people have been killed by these things before. They say they're non-violent weapons, but there you are. Sound bombs as well. Like I didn't even see these coming. I thought they were throwing live grenades at us. It was just mental. But yeah, like what it also comes down to is no matter like all these like I've shown you like a lot of stuff there that's just like quite desperate, but there was also a lot of happy memories as well. Like again, I'm really upset that I don't have any pictures of my host family, because we had a lot of happy memories with them. Memories that I don't really have time to like go fully into because there's just so many of them. But yeah, like just all these friends I met, like Helen, Eric, Craig. This one especially is a really favourite photo of mine. This is my friend Yesenia, who's from Miami. And we ended up travelling to Jordan together. That photo was actually taken in Petra. And after that, we just like all these friends I made. Like actually, she came to visit me in Leicester in December. That was a good week. And yeah, just like, and like all the sites I saw, like going away, like going to a bit of tourism, make us a few holiday snaps for now. Like the Western Wall and the Dome of the Rock. It was just beautiful stuff, and it's just a beautiful place. And it just taught me at the end of the day that no matter what's going on, no matter what I see, like there was hope. Like you can see it in the everyday life of like Palestinian people going about their day. Like all I ever saw from the Palestinian people, only in like the very worst situations, was just hope and just general happiness and just like there won't be peace one day, there will be peace, and just general like people got about their lives and kept on. It was just really encouraging to see that every day. Like it was great. And then also just the peacefulness of the place, like that it was just also really like enjoyable and pleasing that no matter what these people are going through, because everyone has a story about life in the occupation, as I spoke to everyone every day about it. No matter what they hope, they still have like, they're still not like completely like demolished inside, like there's still just like hope and just like a life that they choose to lead. And yeah, it was just, I can't really put it like, to sum it all up, it was just a incredible experience. Like, I'm definitely not going back one day, like, unreasonably, but yeah. And yeah, in conclusion, like, all I can say to you is like, we can learn a lot about politics of it, and like, I encourage everyone to do so. Like, this is what this entire week's been about, this is what my role in society is about, teaching us about this issue. But if you like, anyone that's ever considering to go to Palestine, please do. It's just an experience that'll teach you not a lot about the issue, but a lot about people and just everything. And it's just something that I'll never forget. It's one of the best things I've ever done. So, long story short, thank you guys for listening. This is quite rewarding for me to be able to talk about it as well.